So hi all, welcome back to a new episode of Code Zaddy. What we'll be trying to do today is we'll be trying to create a chatbot using Python, and we'll be using OpenAI's ChatGPT model to do that. Alternatively, I'll also show you how you can create it using an open source model such as Llama 3. So we'll be using Llama to download Llama 3 and then doing the chatbot implementation there. Hopefully this should be fun and hope you enjoy this video. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, just to give you some context on what we are about to implement here, there are two types of models, chatbot models. So you could have something called a completion model, which is what most traditional AIs try to do. And you could also have a much more powerful response type model. So if you could see my screen right now, what I have opened is my playground on OpenAI. And if you go to your right hand side, you will see something called responses API. Now this is my dashboard on my project. On the right hand side, you have your responses API. If I click on that, I can see two options. So I have a chat completions API and I have a responses API. Now, if I select the chat completions API, what will happen is the AI will try to complete whatever I'm trying to ask it. So that is what most traditional LLMs try to do. On the other hand, the responses API, which we normally use nowadays and which is very common right now, is where we could have a normal back and forth conversation with the API. So that is the main difference. Also, we would need to understand the three types of messages that an AI can use or an AI agent can use. So you have your system message, and the system message actually defines how your AI agent should behave. You can alter its behavior by typing in exactly how you want it to behave. So in the description of this video below, I will give a separate link to a short video on where I have demoed this, where I have actually changed the behavior of the AI by giving different prompts there. So one type of messages is the system message. The second is what you would actually the question that you would ask your AI, right? So this is a user message. So this is where you would actually put in some questions or what you actually want to do with your AI. So for example, I could ask, hi, write me a poem about the blue sky, right? Let's make it a short poem. I don't want a big one. So that was my user message, and uh, the response I got back is the AI message, right? So you have three types of messages. You have your system message, you have your user message, and you have your AI message, which is basically your response. Now we'll be using the LangChain library to build our chatbot, and it's important to understand how LangChain sees these different types of messages. So in OpenAI terminology that we just saw, the system message in LangChain terminology, that is the system message. The user message, it's called the human message in LangChain, and the assistant message is called the AI message. All right. I thought I mentioned AI message when I was actually demoing this, but in OpenAI terminology, that's the assistant message, and in LangChain, that's the AI message. So there are different types of messages, and we will be using these three types of messages to build our chatbot step by step. Now, before going further, you would also need some API keys. So you need an API key for ChatGPT. You would also need an API key from Hugging Face, which we'll be using later to create our open source chatbot. So for ChatGPT, what you can do is create an account in OpenAI if you do not already have one. Add some credit to your account, because if you do not do that, you probably will run into timeout server issues. So as you can see, I had recharged this long time ago, and it has run me a long time. So $5. You can just top up with $5, and that should be more than enough for what you're trying to do. So when generating your API keys, you can just go to your personal profile, and from there you have this section called API keys. I'm not clicking on it for obvious security concerns, but you can generate your API key, copy it, and keep it in a safe place. And a very similar setup for Hugging Face on how you can generate your API keys. Create an account if you do not already have one. Uh, there's no need for you to add any credit, because it is, most of the things in Hugging Face is essentially free. It has a huge library of reusables, which maybe later I'll do a video on some interesting projects that we can create out of Hugging Face. But essentially create a profile there and go to your settings, from where you could just go to and create your access tokens, which is your API keys essentially. Now let me quickly go through my project structure. So my root folder is project, within which I have my chatbot code. So there's a folder named chatbot, within which I have my pip file. So my pip file will contain all the packages I need installing from the Python library. And I have my main.py, which is essentially a single file containing all the code I need for my chatbot. And I have my .env file, which is where I'll be defining my API keys. Now, obviously, you would need to replace these keys with your own. And for demo purposes, I have just put in some random strings XXXX for obvious security concerns. Now, don't worry about the actual code which I'll be showing and which I will be sharing with you, and which you can download from GitHub. You can pull it from GitHub and then try running in your own local system. Okay, so let's now go to the actual code in main.py. So very quick walkthrough of the code there. I'm doing my necessary imports. So I'll be loading my environment variables from the .env file, which is where I have defined my API keys. I'll be defining the chat OpenAI object. I'll be creating my chat prompt template object, which contains the content user input and the messages, which defines the human message template that we'll be using for the prompt. And then we'll be creating the LLM chain using the chat and the prompt objects. And then we'll define a loop, an infinite loop, where we will continuously expect the user to give some input and the AI agent to reply with the responses. So very short and sweet code. Now let us see this in action. So let us open our terminal in VS Code, right? And go to the folder where you have defined your pip file. And before we do anything, let us start a pip environment. So I'll be using pip env the shell to start the virtual environment for Python. And then I will do an install. Okay. So this will install all the dependencies that I require, and it will create a pip log, pip file dot lock. Since I've already run this program, this shouldn't take a long time. It would probably say everything is installed and everything is up to date. But in your case, this might take a couple of minutes. Let's see how long it takes. Now let us go to our actual code directory where the chatbot main file resides, and let us go to that, and that folder is chatbot. And now let's run our main_2.py file, which in your case would be main.py. So ignore the warnings in the code that I'll be sharing. I'll be using the latest library versions, so you should not see this warning, but even if you do see, it is some minor deprecation warning which you can just ignore there. Now let us try chatting. So this is our actual chatbot. Let's try chatting with it. So let us put something like what is 1 plus 1. Okay, let's ask it a question and it gives me back a response, right? Now, if an interesting uh, observation that you will now notice is that if I ask a subsequent question, it might actually not understand what I'm asking to it because we have not given it any memory. Our chatbot does not have any memory. So for example, if I say add 1 to it, it still gives me 2, whereas it should have given me 3. Uh, Now the reason for this is we have not yet implemented the memory module in our chatbot, so it has no idea about the previous question. Now this actually demonstrates that when you build a chatbot, there are many aspects which you need to actually think about. You need to think about implementing the memory. You need to think about probably having to show the summary of the conversation, and these are the little tiny bits that you need to take care of to build to actually implement a good meaningful chatbot. So let's see how to implement memory in the next step. Now, LangChain has many types of memories. So you have your conversation token buffer memory, you have combined memory, you have your conversation buffer window memory, and so on. So what we will be using is the conversation buffer memory, which is very easy to implement. You can go to the documents about what are the different other types of memories and what are the use cases when you can use them. But for our purposes, we'll be using the conversation buffer memory. Now let's see how to implement this. Now let's resize our code ID again so that you can actually see the code there. And you might notice that I have like different versions of the main file, but don't worry because when I'm sharing this file, you'll just have one version with all the steps added into it. So you'll have a neat comprehensive little package sitting there which you can download and you can experiment with. So how to implement the conversation buffer memory? Very simple. You import it from the LangChain.memory module. Other steps basically remain the same. Create the memory object. We'll put the return messages as true because we want to see the messages that went back and forth. And essentially, we will just add it as one of the arguments to the LLM chain there. Other things remain the same. Now let's try running this. So let me increase the terminal estate. Okay. Now Python. Okay, let us try the same question again. Okay, let us start. What is 1 plus 1? It gives me 2. Add 1 to it, and now it gives me 3. So if I ask what was my first question, it correctly gives me what I asked first. And how cool is that, right? So with a very simple module import called conversation buffer memory, what we have done is we have actually implemented memory into our chatbot. Now what we can do further is we can implement creating a sort of log for the messages which can later be used for audit purposes. So whenever you implement a chatbot, right, uh, audit is very important, and you need a method of actually saving the conversation that you had there with a chatbot. So let's see how we can implement that. The next step. Now to implement the chat message history, you need to import the file chat message history module from the LangChain.memory library, and then you need to include it as part of your chat memory there. So essentially chat memory equal to file chat message history. You give a name to the file. So we want to see it as a JSON file. You can give it any name you want there. And what this hopefully should do is it should generate a message history file for us in the root folder. So let's try running this now. So Python main dot having a bad day with the spelling. Okay, let's increase the screen state. Okay, now let's try asking ChatGPT some questions. Okay, right. So we'll ask it uh, what give okay, tell me a dad's joke. Yeah, why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts. Okay, right. Now let's ask it another question. Okay, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? A very old sort of joke. Now let me say whether it remembers the first joke. What was the first joke? Obviously it misunderstood what I was trying to ask. So but it's a very interesting piece of information. It says the first recorded joke dates back to ancient Sumeria and was written on a cuneiform tablet. It was a fart joke. Good to know, right? So let me be more specific. I just want to test the memory of this what we have trying to implement there. Okay, what was my first question? Okay, yeah. Now it brings me back to the first question. So the memory is working fine, everything is working fine. Now, if we go to the root folder, okay, you can see something called a messages.json file being auto-generated there. So this was not there before. This is something that is auto-generated. Let me try clicking it, and this is in JSON format. Right. But if you want to actually see it in a better format, you can go to the command palette and just type format. It will give me the option of formatting the document. Yeah, and now we can see that it actually gives me the whole audit or the message history, right? That we had with the AI. This is pretty cool. Now, an alternative to the file chat message history, which we generated as the sorry messages.json file, is the conversation summary memory. What it essentially does is it will show us the summary of the conversation on our console or where we choose to output it. But as of today, both of them, that is the conversation summary memory and the file chat message history memory, they do not work well with each other. So it's either this or that. So let us just try with the conversation summary memory. We will be commenting out the file chat message history part. So we'll import the conversation summary memory from the LangChain.memory library, same as we did for the file chat message history before. And then if you notice the chat object, I've added a couple of extra arguments. I want detailed output, so I've set verbose to be true. I've set the temperature to be 0.9. So essentially in LLM terms, the temperature means you can control the creativity of the AI response. So uh, this is on a scale from 0 to 1, 0 being the most predictable and accurate output, while 1 being some really crazy, imaginative stuff that the AI will generate. So just for an ideal value would probably be something more like zero point 0.5 or zero point 0.6. I've just given it zero point 0.9 because I'm just playing around with it. So you can give whatever value you choose to do. And now for the memory key, what we'll be defining a memory key, which is what will be used by the AI to access the messages. We have named it messages. We'll be passing it to the memory module, conversation summary memory, and then in the chat prompt template, we will be referring that key, which is the messages placeholder. So we'll be referencing that key that we have defined there. Other things remain almost the same. I've given verbose output. These things are optional. You can take it off if you do not actually require it. Uh, so let's try running this and let's see what we get. Let me increase the terminal size. Okay, so the chat has started. So let me start by saying, hey, how are you? Normal conversation. Now you can see you can see the verbose output happening there, right? Because we have put the verbose flag as true, it's actually showing a very detailed output. It shows that we are entering the LangChain. That's a prompt after formatting. It's the system. Um, because this is the first time we are interacting with the system response is nil. But this is our question. Hey, how are you? And it has finished the change and given us the response. Hello, I'm just a computer program, so I don't have feelings. Okay, very profound. But I'm here to help you. How can I assist you today? So I'll just ask it a very simple question. Let us say, what is an S3 bucket? Let me see. Okay. Now, if you see how it is reacting, is it again gives the verbose output saying it's entering the chain. It gives the prompt after formatting, and this is what the system, and this is the actual conversation summary. Because if you remember, we started with the conversation asking the AI how it was, and this is what the system says. The human greets the AI and asks how it is doing. The AI responds by acknowledging it's just a computer program, but it's ready to assist the human with any help needed. Now I go into ask what is an S3 bucket, and it has finished the chain saying with the response saying exactly what an S3 bucket is. So it's an S3 bucket is a storage resource in AWS and blah blah blah. Right. So this is a very useful feature if you just want to condense and summarize your chat histories, which can be useful for audit purposes. And with that, we are at the end of the chat model using ChatGPT. Next, what we'll see is how we can convert this entire thing into an open source model, and we would be using LLama for that. Okay. Now, to do this, what you would primarily need is you would need to install LLama on your local computer, on your local system. Now, LLama is primarily used for running on open source LLM models directly on your computer. So that is what LLama does. It's a very popular tool, popular and powerful. Um, so what you can do is you can go to this page. I'll be providing the link in the video description below, and you just need to find which system you're using and install download and install LLama. It's quite straightforward. Once you have installed it, ensure that it's running. What you should be seeing if it's up and running is the llama symbol there, right? So it says OLLAMA is up and running there. Now let us quickly go through the code for the open source chatbot version using OLLAMA and LLama3 model. So the pip file has some change where we'll be using the LangChain OLLAMA library. I'm using the latest version, as you can see. The main.py file has a couple of changes whereby I'll be importing the chat-OLLAMA module from the LangChain OLLAMA library. Uh, I would be initializing the chat-OLLAMA model. Earlier, if you remember, we used the ChatGPT model, but here we're using chat-OLLAMA. I'm setting a temperature of 0.7. The model I'll be using is Llama 3. You can use any model you want. If you want, you can use Mistral. I'm using Llama 3. Uh, and then other things remain more or less the same. We would be using the file chat message history. I'm not using the conversational buffer memory. And I'll be naming the file as messages.json, and I'll be prefacing it with the session ID. So just added some more codes, some more snippets to make it more. So I've also formatted the input and output console, whereby when the user actually quits, the chatbot gives a message saying goodbye, have a great day, and if there is any exception, I try to capture it and print it out on the console. So overall, all better looking, much more professional approach to a chatbot. Now let's try running this. So let's open our terminal. So since we are using OLLAMA and Llama 3, we would need to download the Llama 3 model onto our local system there. Now be aware that this is around 5 GB in size, and this will take some time. But since I've already run it, I'll just show you the command on how you can download it. Just make sure that OLLAMA is up and running before you try this command. So the command is go to your project root directory, and you just need to type OLLAMA, and there you have it. It is full Llama 3. Okay, you hit enter, and since I've already downloaded it, it went pretty fast. But for the first time I did it, it took me around 5 minutes. It might take longer for you or shorter based on your internet speed. Now let's start uh, Python virtual environment. So we'll do pip env shell, right? Now let us go to our project directory, which is which is chatbot open source, and from there we'll first install our dependencies defined in the pip file. So it's pip env install. Uh, since I've already run this, it went pretty fast. If you're doing it for the first time, again, it will take some time. Okay, now let's try running this. And again, I've made a spelling mistake. What is with Python and me? Okay, let's try it. Okay, the chatbot has started. Now let us ask it some interesting question. Okay, let's say, hi, are you the most powerful AI out there? Let us see how it responds. Now bear in mind we are using an open source LLM model, namely we are using Llama 3, and based on how busy the server is, you might see your response getting delayed exponentially. Uh, so there are times when you get a quick response, there are times when you really need to wait it out. So let's wait it out. Let's see what it responds. It should bring us a response. Still running. In the meantime, let's see whether it has actually generated the messages.json file. Yeah, it has generated the messages.json file. It has prefixed with the user session as you have asked it, and we have got a response, right? So if we go to the response here, right? So it starts with thank you for the compliment. I'm a large language model trained on a massive data set of text from the internet. Essentially, it goes on to blow its own trumpet on whatever it excels at, what it can do, what are its capabilities, uh, and it ends on a pretty humble note. So it says, while I'm a powerful language model, there are many other impressive AI systems out there, each with their unique strengths and capabilities, which is fair enough. And then it asks me a question in return: what do you think makes an AI powerful? So I can carry on the conversation, but it will take time, as you would have noticed them. And now you can see the messages.json file also has been populated with whatever we conversed with the AI then. So pretty impressive, isn't it? Well done, Llama 3. So I'm just going to exit the chat, and it should give me the bye message which we have put in the code. Yeah, it says goodbye. Have a great day. Now, hopefully you have all enjoyed this video a lot. You hope you found it useful. Hope you had fun. I will be sharing the GitHub repos in the description of this video. Now, if you really liked my work, I would really appreciate it if you could give a like and subscribe. It would really encourage me a lot to put out more videos in the future. So till we see again, adios.